Hello, everybody. It is your old buddy John Thomas Hill here for the John Thomas Hill Show, as you probably have already figured by looking at the title of this very show. And I'm awake. It is 10:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7:12 a.m. Pacific, and 3:12 in London. And I just got done with a Zoom meeting at work that took all of 10 minutes. And I am in the classic mood of, why couldn't this be done on an email? So, yeah, it is what it is. It's one of the weird things about modern technology and this stupid, crazy pandemic that we're going through, is that stuff that you would have done in person or over the phone or whatnot, because of modern technology, they won't actually see your face and do it through a Zoom meeting. And I'm old enough to remember when the idea of a video call was purely science fiction. It would never happen in our lifetimes or anything like that. And thus, I must have outlived my lifetime, because I just had one, and I've been having some in recent months and years. So that is the current modern technology that we're dealing with in this pandemic. Or even if the pandemic wasn't even here, I think we probably would see more of that going on. But I wanted to drop on here to talk briefly before I have to go to work today, because I wanted to kind of give you an idea of what's coming down the pipe for this podcast in the near future. I'm splitting the podcast up into 4 different podcasts. For those of you who probably have not heard about this, or some of you had, I'm just kind of wanting to reiterate this. This is going to be more of a personal audio blog kind of thing, where I will touch on a lot of broad general subjects and whatnot. I may do a lot of stuff about media, about pop culture, stuff that's not necessarily political, but it's still really big news. Like we've got 2 hurricanes going on in the Gulf of Mexico right now that could create a ton of havoc in the Texas and Louisiana areas, and perhaps even further beyond that in the next few days. And I will talk about that, as well as my personal recollections about Katrina and Hugo and other hurricanes and such. I know the 2004 tropical storms that came through, well, they were hurricanes when they came up the Panhandle, but they were tropical storms by the time they got here in western North Carolina in the fall of 2004. And those were some very eventful nights, to say the least. I'll probably talk about that. I'm probably going to do that in the near future, probably sometime later this week, as those hurricanes, I think one of them is supposed to hit landfall tonight. If I can bring up my little tracker, like the weather geek that I am, amongst other geeky things I do. Let me bring that up. Marco is the one that's supposed to hit tonight, and according to the map, he's actually slowed down. It looks like he's going to hit the southern coast of Louisiana, just south of New Orleans, at about 1 a.m. Tomorrow morning. And let's see, what is he categorized at right now? So he is probably going to hit as a tropical storm. So that is some good news. He's going at a decent clip, so by tomorrow afternoon, he'll slow down some, but he'll be over the southern part of Louisiana pretty much all day tomorrow. And then by early Wednesday morning, he'll be near Houston. He'll basically skirt westward along the coast between Louisiana and Texas before making landfall again on early Wednesday morning. So yeah, that's going to be that. A Category 1 hurricane is nothing to sneeze at. You can get a lot of damage from simply a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and a lot of storm surge from a Category 1. That is why it's always important to remember that even a very small Category 1 hurricane still is going to pack winds of 74 miles an hour, folks. That's a lot of wind. Even a tropical storm can pose a lot of damage. So these things are not to sneeze at. You don't have to be a Category 5 to be a very heavily damaging storm, and let's remember that. Now let's go to Laura, who is supposed to hit, according to this map, 2 a.m. on Thursday, right along the Texas-Louisiana border. So New Orleans looks like it will probably be spared the brunt of the storm, although being the east of any storm is never a good thing. So according to this map that I'm watching right now, landfall will take place 2 a.m. on Thursday morning. And then by 2 a.m. on Friday morning, it'll be over, I would guess, Little Rock. I'm not so familiar exactly where Little Rock is in Arkansas. But it'll be over northeastern Arkansas by 2 a.m. on Friday. And then 2 a.m. on Saturday, it'll be at the border of West Virginia and Kentucky, where those three states meet. So here in western North Carolina, we'll probably get some effects of that late Friday night, early Saturday morning, late Saturday night, well, I'll take that back. I was right to begin with. You have to remember, I just woke up. And I got to go to work here in a few minutes. So it is late Friday night, early Saturday morning. What that will deal with, the tropical depression, according to this map. Now, a lot of things can change between now and then, and we don't know what's going to happen with Marco. So it's important to remember that, because we could get a lot of rain off of this, where it could be that both these storms head up into the Midwest and they all get it up north and we don't get anything here. But for now, it looks like we're doing pretty good. Nothing is looking like it's forming right now off the coast of Africa. Nothing. There's a little clump of clouds that might possibly do something if it gets somewhat organized. I'm looking at a map it's called the Hurricane Tracker app on iPhone, by the way, for those of you who are wondering. And it's most of our hurricanes pretty much start out in the part of West Africa between Morocco and, well, it's right off the coast of Morocco and south of Morocco and such. I can't remember the geography. Like I said, I just woke up not too long ago, so the brain's not entirely working just yet. So there is a little clump of clouds right there, if I can talk this morning. That is concerning. So yeah, I would keep an eye on that. It could amount to nothing. It may amount to something serious. You never know, because we are starting to get in that time of the year. Because September and October are the biggest times for hurricanes. For those of us who live in the Carolinas and Georgia and Florida and the Gulf Coast, we're all familiar with that. And if you're not familiar, then where the hell have you been? Before I go out of here, I'm going to kind of give you a little personal history lesson, from 31 years ago with a storm by the name of Hugo. Hugo struck, if I remember correctly, September 22nd of 1989. It hit at night, and it hit Charleston. It landed in Charleston, did a lot of damage in Charleston, And I was up all night watching this storm. I was living in Forest City at the time. And this was before the internet. This was before you had smartphones or anything like that. So you had to basically watch television in order to track the storm. And I'm flipping between CNN, the Weather Channel, Channel 3 out of Charlotte, Channel 7 out of Spartanburg, and all of this because I want to know what the hell's going on because this looks bad. And during the night, as it lands, and during the night, it starts heading towards the northwest, directly straight at us. Now, we live in the foothills of southwestern foothills of North Carolina, of western North Carolina. Right before you get to the Appalachian Mountains, the southern chain of the Appalachian Mountains. It would have been pretty bad for us here where I lived at the time. And I'm not too far away from where I live at now. I'm actually further a little bit north and west from where I used to live at. So it would have been probably worse up here than it was back down there, which is a bit flatter. The mountains dealing with a major hurricane would have been disastrous. And I'm going to go into more detail about this at another time where I talk about Hugo and the two tropical storms that hit in 2004, as well as others that have come along, like a couple of years ago we had that really bad one that came along and such, or was it last year? I think it was last year, I believe. No, it was the year before because I was working second at the time, so we'll figure it out. Anyhow, I wanted to get on here to kind of talk about this. And here's the thing about Zoom meetings. They're all well and good and all of that, but I think we'll all be happy when all of this is over with and we can get back to face-to-face meetings in person. We can get back to dealing with people in person once again. I think that is something that we all are looking forward to because pretty much we're all tired of this kind of, for lack of a better term, this social distancing stuff that means that we can't even hug somebody or shake their hand or anything like that. And that kind of sucks because, I'm not a very touchy-feely person. I know a lot of folks who are not happy with it, not thrilled with it, and all of that. It sucks. I'm sure it sucks for many of us. But it is important to remember that this is a pandemic. We need to take it very seriously. Sometime later on this week, I will go into more detail about that. As I come to you booming through this microphone, this new microphone, which is a really cheap microphone I got from, was it Wish or was it Geek.com? I saw it, I just figured I'd purchase it, wait forever for it, which actually came sooner than I expected. So it's just a little cheap microphone I had because I felt like the one that came with the computer was too tinny, and I didn't want to spend a ton of money just yet to get a really fancy one, because what I'm talking to you on is basically a Chromebook right now, and I may down the road look into something more fancy for that. We shall see. But yep, I wanted to just come on here and kind of vent a little bit, not much. It's no big deal. It's just one of those things. I could have slept another couple hours, or another hour I should say, because I got up at 8 and meant to get up at 9 and be on at this meeting at 10, and I had to leave at 11 to go to work. Because it's Monday and I just worked last night and I got to go in this afternoon, blah 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 blah. But before I let you go, what I'm gonna probably do is every every podcast I do, I'm going to do one thing a week about that, at least. Probably what I'll do this week on the Rutherford Sports Network podcast is talk about the college football situation right now. Will we even have a season? Should we even have a season? And what about college basketball? Is that in jeopardy too? The Carolina Geek podcast, I will probably do a rewatch. I'm not sure if it'll be Babylon 5 again. I'm thinking more than likely it probably will be. And I may do several of those and just release them. Do one live and then release the others in time. I'll see how my schedule goes. The Middle of the Road podcast, which is my political podcast, I'm going to talk this week about why I think political conventions are a thing of the past and what we should do to really streamline the entire presidential election process to where as soon as this election's over with, we don't have people already clamoring to get ready to run again in 2024. Because it used to not be like that. It used to be that you didn't even find out who was running for president until the actual election year. And now you're finding out about possible contenders a few weeks after the election takes place. So, yeah. and as for this one, I'm not sure yet. I may do some non-geek rewatches on this. We'll see how that goes. But I wanted to kind of come on here and touch base and say, hey, everybody, how you doing? But, yeah. Hope you guys are having a great Monday so far. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.